I call the honourable member for Werriwa.
I can't agree with the previous speaker that the timing of this resolution is good for the government. Quite frankly, it's as bad as this member's other resolution this week, where she's commended the Red Cross as a great Australian association. At the same time, this government takes $5 million off the Red Cross. So both of the resolutions aren't exactly good in timing this week. I say it's not good in timing because the manifestly false campaign that the Prime Minister waged in opposition around the dire consequences of the carbon tax are being exposed daily. Now, today in the Sydney Morning Herald, of course, we had Peter Martin's analysis, which said that, quote, it is unlikely to have reductions anything like the $550 claimed by the Prime Minister Tony Abbott at the weekend. He said, in fact, that electricity and gas accounted for only $250, making a one-off saving of just $250 per household more likely. We've heard the exaggerations, we've heard the wild claims about the impact of the carbon tax on every sector of the Australian economy. But now, when they're in government, when they've got to take responsibility, daily we are seeing them repudiate and excuse various sectors of the economy that there are not going to be reductions in those areas. John Commoner from the Climate Institute, he didn't even go along with Peter Martin's view in the Herald. He said, I think it's an overestimate that there'll be $250 savings to the Australian people. And we can go through so many accounts of this falsehood. In regards to Qantas, on March 3rd, when they wanted some assistance from the Australian people because of their plight, their spokesperson initially said Qantas's current issues are not related to carbon pricing. And yet a person called Tony Abbott said the next day that the best thing we can do if we want Qantas to call Australia home now and forever is to remove the shackles that are holding Qantas back by this very day repealing the carbon tax. A day later, under government pressure, Qantas suddenly found that the carbon tax was part of their problem. Initially they said it was nothing to do with their problems. Now what do we see this week, once they're in government? Qantas is saying there'll be no reductions essentially because the carbon tax's lack of impact. We saw them run around this country with exaggerated claims about refrigerator gases. A person called Tony Abbott said that they are going up about almost 5 times under the carbon tax, and every supermarket, every refrigerator manufacturer and processor is going to be hit that way. He went to Frostpac in close to this building and spoke about $60,000 a year in costs. It was living proof that small family businesses are going to pay the carbon tax. The impact that supposedly is affecting supermarkets and prices. And what do we see now in the real world today? We see Woolworths saying they didn't have any increases whatsoever, so you're not going to get any reductions there. We've seen Coles say that they'll investigate whether there are any cost increases. Clearly, there seems a bit of doubt. And what else are they doing? They are negotiating with Senator Day from South Australia. He's demanded, and they've went along with this, they've been telling the Australian people about the huge cost of this carbon tax, and yet they're now prepared to negotiate with Senator Day that there be no penalties on any small businesses in this country if they fail to pass on these alleged increases due to the carbon tax. So it's all unwinding the great cost to the Australian people. And whilst we're talking about electricity and energy, one of the few areas where there might be some credit in the carbon tax allegations, interesting article recently, we have a situation where Matthew Warren of the Energy Supply Association of Australia, I think he might know a little bit more about this than the Prime Minister, he made the comment, the electricity market is incredibly complicated and there is thousands of electricity contracts with carbon in them and millions of dollars of them being traded. Unwinding that process after days and weeks and months into the financial year gets extremely complicated. What this is a lead-up was to saying that he thinks the reductions consequent upon abolition of the carbon tax in the electricity and gas sectors is going to be far, far smaller than what they've estimated. Now, we've had one of their members running around Las Vegas between poker machines and beers this week claiming climate change. I'm prepared to listen far more to people like Hillary Clinton, who recently said, I'm deeply worried that the latest UN report The impact will principally fall on food production and distribution. So although I'm still optimistic, I think if we look out 10 to 15 years, we will need to mitigate against or avoid the ongoing consequences of climate change. Climate change is real.
The
Government
honourable
should act.
member's time has concluded.